I was a reader. My mother had a library downstairs, and I always did a lot of reading. And so in the reading, that was my friend. That's my escape.
Hi. Today is obviously a big day for us all. No matter whether we learn tonight the outcome of elections nationwide and closer to home, and no matter which candidates and propositions win, we're wishing you some sense of peace and relief that this long electoral season is coming to some sort of an end. This episode is kind of special for us. First, I want to thank past guest Paley Boucher for connecting us with today's storyteller. Ida McCray is a born and raised San Franciscan. Her life is nothing short of incredible. And in this podcast, Ida shares what it was like growing up a Black San Franciscan whose dad wasn't around much. She's an only child who went to Catholic school, but preferred reading the books in her mom's library more than what the sisters were trying to teach her. As a teenager, Ida was in and out of Juvenile Hall and other facilities. After graduating high school at 16, she discovered and got involved with the Nation of Islam and the Black Panther Party. Check back Thursday for part 2, when Ida will continue telling us the story of her life. Here's Ida.
A lot of us Black Americans don't know that far.
Right.
Okay, because my mother didn't even have a birth certificate.
Right.
All right, and she was born in 1915 and worked here for 40 years, and they never counted them in the county as being people, and everything was written in the Bible that I don't even know where the hell the Bible is because I don't read it.
Right.
The Bible, I read, but I don't read the Bible.
Do you know if your mom was born here?
I know where she was born. She was born in a place called Elgin, Texas.
Oh, I'm from Fort Worth.
Oh, yeah?
I know Elgin.
Yeah, she was from Elgin, Texas.
Mm-hmm.
And she was born and raised there. And she was a baby of six children. But my grandmother, I found out at her funeral, had raised a lot of children. Because all these people, Grandma Ida raised his grandma. I'm like, wow, she did all that? That was, when people got together and had funerals and talked about what the people did after they were dead.
Let's go on from your mom. Do you know about any of, your dad's story?
Yeah, I know my dad and my father. His name Leroy Aloysius. He was murdered in the Tenderloin, one stab to his heart. And a lot of it was the disappointment that he had in the Navy, because a lot of times a lot of Black people, when they go to get out, they gave them, I have to think of some pro-social language, bad discharges. They did anything they could to screw him. And that really, I believe, set him in a really negative way, and then became a merchant marine. And there he got hooked on heroin, because you go over in Southeast Asia, you have that pure stuff.
Opium.
And when he got here, he was clean because
Right.
it wasn't no good, but he stayed. But he was a good dad. I had a good daddy. I had a really good father, and I didn't know what it was having a bad father until I started doing the work that I do with other women. I work with women in LGBTQ, and their issues of anger and domestic violence.
Did you grow up with both of your parents in the same house? Or?
Yeah, when he was there, he was either there or in jail. He was either on the ship, in jail, or at my house.
Right.
But, my mother was Catholic, and she didn't believe in divorce.
Right.
Because
So
she was raised by the nuns in Dallas.
Okay.
And they educated her, and I have to say the Catholics had a good education.
Sure.
They really did. And my grandmother, I found out she'd wash to pay for her to go to
the
Catholic school.
Right.
So my mother was the smartest of the bunch.
She said she was the baby of 6?
Yeah.
Did you grow up with your aunts and uncles, or any of them on either side? Or cousins?
We lived at 1418 Newcomb. I was born in that house.
Okay.
Not in the house directly, but I'm just saying that's where the house I came to after my mother had me. And there were 8 people in that house. And there were her sisters and brothers and aunts and all those people until they were able to buy another house, which is down the street, which is at 1466 Newcomb, which my family still has today. So that's the way people do. I don't care where you're from, is collectivize together and make a better life for each other.
For everyone.
Yeah.
The rising tide,
that's
right?
what you do, and that's what we need to do again. You know, because people forget that all this me, isolation, that ain't gonna get you nowhere. And you know, it's not even gonna get you nowhere individually, and it definitely won't collectively as a people. And we are all the same. I really believe that, because there's no human gene that makes you different from me.
Right.
There's only one race, and that's the human race. You know, so in that. We have to find families that are not necessarily blood, but about the love.
Absolutely.
You know,
I like that. So
I made that up.
we'll give you credit. You get all the credit. So those 8 folks, and other, like, tell us about your childhood over on Newcomb Street. What?
No, it wasn't on Newcomb Street.
Oh,
I
you
was
moved.
born in that house,
Okay.
and my mother moved when I was 4 years old to the house over the hill here, 170 Gambier.
Okay.
Yeah.
Is that Excelsior still, or?
No, that's what they call Portla. Right
Portla.
off here
Yeah,
off Silver
Portla,
Avenue.
yeah. Right.
Yeah, so I was, from 4 on, I was raised in that house.
Okay.
And
So most of your memories start probably there.
Yeah, they do. Because I remember a little kid came from the corner, and he said, if I played with her with a black rub off, and, you know, it didn't bother me.
Yeah.
But my mother was furious, you know,
Right.
but I didn't know any better. And then I went to Hillcrest School, which is right here on Silver and Cambridge. Right, it used to be Simpson Bible College right across the street there. And I went through the grade school there from kindergarten to 6th grade. And I was always the only black person in my class. So when I finally graduated, I remember I had a wonderful teacher. Her name was Miss Decker. She realized that I was bored and that those other kids were getting on my nerve. So she skipped me. You know?
Good.
Yeah, she skipped me. Something that was more challenging, you know.
Yeah, sure. And that makes sense.
Yeah, and I went to Portland, and then from Portland, I saw all these black people I'd never seen. I was just so excited. Then I got kicked out of there. I had a fight with a girl. She picked on me. I never had a fight before. But when you're the 2 biggest girls in school, we had an instigator. And she would go to her and go to me, and I didn't want to fight because I was scared. But when she hit me, I went crazy.
Yeah.
You know, I hit back, but I was, but just wasn't used to that type of environment where you had to fight.
Yeah.
You know, and a lot of them were from different areas of the city, and I don't want to blame it on just the projects, but it was just a different mentality that I was encountering, Yeah. And so then I got kicked out of there. Then they sent me to Pelton. Got kicked out of Pelton. Then when I got kicked out of Pelton, Mr. Moskowitz kicked me out for, I think, being belligerent and beyond parental control. They used to use that a lot.
Beyond parental control.
Belligerent and beyond
Belligerent.
beyond parental control.
Okay.
Yeah, and. If you had an attitude, they couldn't stand the attitude because they was looking for, somebody to acquiesce at every yes, and then that wasn't me.
Right.
And then I got kicked out of there, and I have a memory gap from there to go into Horace Mann, and then I went to Horace Mann over here on 23rd in Barlett.
Right.
Yeah, that's when I learned my first cuss words.
That's my old hood, right over there.
Yeah, it used to be a Woolsworth there at the corner.
Do you mind telling us what those cuss words were?
Yeah, that's to be cooler. Kiss my ass. That's the first words you always learn. That's to be cooler. That's to be cooler.
Yeah, nice.
Like, okay.
So bilingual cussing, I like it. Yeah, you cuss in many languages. So your high school would have been 50-ish years ago. So like the late 60s, early 70s?
Yeah, late 60s, early
Okay.
60s, I think,
Okay.
Somewhere around there.
Yeah.
It's just a number to me at this point.
Right.
Yeah.
What kind of things were you doing outside of school? Like, did you run around with friends, and what kind of stuff?
Yeah, my whole thing being an only child.
Okay.
My whole thing was to make friends.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, only children, you want to be friends, and you want to get in what everybody else is doing. So my whole thing was just to be as much a part of a black community that I'd never been a part of. So that was my hunger.
Through your neighborhood, mostly?
Not my neighborhood.
Through the school.
Through just seeing other people that looked like me.
Got it.
Because of the isolation that I experienced growing up.
Right. Right. So what kind of things, tell us about San Francisco back then. What kind of things did y'all do?
I know I used to steal my mother's car.
Okay.
Because my mother had a car. And we would go to a place called TikTok.
Okay.
TikTok used to be on 3rd Street. On Tuesday nights, everybody and their mother would be out there, all the guys. And plus, they had some damn good sea burgers that you'd never forget.
Ooh.
It's where the McDonald's is now. But
Yeah.
actually, TikTok should be like a relic because so many
Yeah.
people, and then they would go drag racing there on Van Dyke, with the streets there. So,
Well, that neighborhood's a lot different now, huh?
Oh, that neighborhood. I mean, the whole San Francisco is a lot different.
Right.
And in some ways, I've had it from here because the change in the vibe here everywhere, is it's not about community.
Right.
It's no community here anymore. And the thing is that it's just very few community because there's so much transition around the housing issue here, which is horrible. I mean, it's just, here we are, one of the richest cities in the countries. We're number 5 in California on the world global economy, and you can't house some of these people.
Right.
Well, kiss my ass.
Right.
They don't give a shit. And I'm talking about these people, the so-called politricksters, in government. I mean, I had a woman in one of my classes. I do domestic violence class for adult probation for women and LGBTQ. And I've had 3 women who were all in programs. And I bumped my head. I called all the established people to put them in some of these fancy hotels that they said that they were having. I couldn't get them in there, but I saw, not me, but my colleague who works with me, she's on Facebook because I like to give the FBI some work, so I don't stay on Facebook like that. So what I do is that she said that they had put their friends and people that they like in these fancy-ass hotels.
Yeah.
Now, a few people did get them. I do know of a few people.
But not the full number.
But not the people who really should have them.
Needed it, yeah. Yeah.
And then you got your mayor getting on there talking about, well, we just can't put people in there. But, George Schultz supported her. So I'm questionable about anybody who George Schultz puts his money behind.
Right.
Right
on.
You have to just follow the money.
Yeah.
Follow where the money came from, who has the money, and who supported. Because it's not about what's on the outside; it's what's on your inside.
Right on.
So,
Let's go back to your life and back then.
Oh, back then? Well,
Yeah.
And then, I don't know, I just went in and out of juvenile because every time I stole my mother's car, my mother would call the police. And then the police would put me in juvenile at 375 Woodside for being, runaway. And, they used to lock you up then for that. They don't lock you up now. And then I got caught up with this woman named Connie, who came from a big family, and we went in the store. I think it was Lord and Taylor like that, and she stole something, and then we both got in trouble for it.
Right.
And I got a ticket, and then I was supposed to come back to the court date, and I didn't even realize it. That when I went to the court date, I was actually having heavy cramps, and come to find out I was having a miscarriage because I was sexually active at 13. That's good old Catholic raising. Yes.
Right.
Okay. Right. Excuse me. I'm a recovering Catholic.
Oh yeah, good. You're on the path.
Yes.
Good.
And I was actually miscarrying at 13.
It was.
Yeah.
Okay, wow.
And so that was a Friday. I'll never, ever, ever forget. I went in. My mother took me up there, like the folks told her to. They locked me up on Friday. I suffered so bad that whole weekend because the cramps when you have a miscarriage is almost worse than having a baby.
Wow.
Because it's part of your tissue still hanging on and part of it not, so it's just hard, And then I remember I told my roommate there, I had to sleep on the floor too at 375 Woodside, and I said, just knock me out, just take it and just, because you see people knock me out, and she'd hit me in my jaw and I wouldn't knock out.
Oh no, so now you had it up here too. Oh,
it didn't hurt worse than down here.
Yeah.
Okay, and then when that Monday, I finally saw the gynecologist, and she shipped me straight to San Francisco General Hospital, where they gave me a DNC, which is where they clean you out.
Okay.
But I never had an operation in my life, and I thought I was going to die.
Yeah.
So the FBI came to me because abortions were illegal then.
Oh my
And they
goodness.
said, well, did you have an abortion? They couldn't. That's when I found out they couldn't tell the difference between an abortion and a spontaneous miscarriage.
Right.
And so I didn't.
Let me guess, all men too, right?
Oh yeah.
All men. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So they came to my bed just before I went in there for the DNC, and they said, "Well, who did this to you?" You know, and of course I lied because he didn't rape me.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I willingly gave it up.
Sir, I'm Catholic.
And so I told this big lie. I said, "Oh, I went somewhere up on the hills and I got raped," because there wasn't no sense in me getting him in trouble.
Right, snitches
you know?
get stitches.
Yeah, and then I went and had the DNC, and I was okay.
Was that your first run-in with the FBI?
Yeah.
It's the second time you mentioned him today.
Yeah, really. Yeah.
Okay. Okay.
They like keeping their job up, right?
Yeah. I guess so. Did you graduate from high school?
Yeah, I did graduate from Woodrow Wilson.
Okay.
I think we were the second people who opened up second school who opened up, Woodrow Wilson was new then.
Okay.
So I was either the second or the third class that opened it up.
Oh,
you
wow.
know?
Okay.
Yeah, and I went there a little while, but I hated school.
Yeah.
And school's boring, you know, and at that time you couldn't play what you want to play. You would have to put on your gym suit, and God forbid, you had to put on this ugly blue gym suit, and if you were on your period, you didn't want to do that, and you didn't want people looking at you, because I was still modest then.
Yeah.
You know, it's gone now, but, you know, then I was still modest.
Oh, man.
Yeah, so, you know, I went into the gym, and plus, since I was so tall then, you know.
How tall?
Well, I was taller than everybody in the class.
Yeah.
See, people grew later on,
Mm-hmm.
but I grew up fast then. So I was, you know, oh, you want to play basketball? And I'm like, no, I don't want to play basketball.
Just because you're tall.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you know.
Yeah.
So I didn't get into sports at all. So I remember, I think I was president of somebody told me, I don't even remember it. I was president of the class, simply because of my good education from Hillcrest School. And I got bored, and then I faked fainting so I
Okay.
could get out of school. I would just fall out, and they didn't know what was wrong with me. And then they had a tutor come to my house a couple of times a week.
Yeah.
You know, so my mother went through this whole thing. Oh, she fell out again, but I would be hearing everything because I'm just,
Yeah.
you know, I just fall out.
Did you ever almost laugh when you were faking?
No.
No, you're good at it.
No,
Okay.
yeah.
Yeah, I would laugh. I'd be down there laughing.
No.
Or if they tickle
no,
me,
I would
it's
just
over.
keep absolutely still.
Yeah.
You know.
Play possum.
And then, and I'm like, and I would wake up, you know, because I didn't want to go to school. So from there on, I was a reader. You know, my mother had a library downstairs, and I always did a lot of reading, you know. And so in the reading, that was my friend. That's my escape.
What kind of stuff were you reading?
Stuff that I wasn't supposed to. Medical books,
Oh.
where they had people's bodies in them.
Like anatomy?
Yeah, anatomy.
Yeah.
You know, it's the right word. And that was like at 10, 11 years old. That's like, oh, wow, look at this.
Right. How bodies work.
Yeah,
Yeah.
You know, oh, look at this. You see the shapes of the breast. My mother had all kind of books because the woman there was going to school. I don't know what for, because it was my mother's friend. So I would just go down there and read whatever I could, you know, as part of my hanging around the house, you know, books and reading. And I still have an addiction to books and reading.
Awesome. I've heard similar stories from other, not to generalize y'all, but from only children, that a lot of, you know, books or creative stuff like art, just because you don't have siblings bothering you all the time, you can actually concentrate.
Yeah, you concentrate.
I come from 3, and it's like, oh no, I never had any time that very little that I chose to do, because I was always just swept up, and I'm the youngest. Like,
You're the youngest.
they throw me in trees and then turn on the super. Anyway, this podcast
Yeah, but
isn't about me.
difference.
It is a big difference.
It really
yeah.
is a big difference.
Yeah.
But I'm very grateful for it because I know how to let go of people when they're not right. You
right.
know, and a lot of people who have been raised with siblings, they just like continue to want to hold on to these toxic relationships when they just need to like cut the umbilical cord.
Yep.
You know, you didn't come out together, you're not probably going to die together, and if so and so is not a good person, you don't like them, why do you keep fucking with them?
Right.
You know?
Absolutely. All right. Well, let's go back then to what did you do after high school?
Let's see what I do. So I got my high school diploma at home since I was feigning. And then I don't know, somehow, I don't know, I'm probably skipping time warp because I graduated at 16.
Oh yeah, you said you skipped some.
Yeah,
some stuff,
so I graduated from Woodrow Wilson at 16.
Okay.
And I got involved in the movement because it was a lot going on with the Black Panthers in Los Angeles, and I was reading about it. I took my, what they call the Shahada, and I became a Muslim under the Honorable Elijah Muhammad.
Okay.
And I went to Mosque 27 here on Gary and Fillmore.
Okay.
And I became Ida 2X, and reading.
Yeah.
So I got involved in that, and I got involved in reading a lot about, you know, if it's not them, it's us, and, you know, Karinga and what was going on. And I had a friend who I grew up with right over here in Bernal Heights who became the Sergeant of Arms of the Black Panther Party.
Okay.
And he, you know, I love the platform, and I still do today, love the platform. But he didn't want me to join because he was looking out for me because, you know, they were getting the political pipe. I mean, you had to fuck a few people to get up in there and be around.
Right.
And these are things that people don't like to talk about.
Right.
And I was fast, but I wasn't that fast. Okay.
Okay. Understood. What kind of stuff did you do with the movement then?
I was mainly a listener and a reader, and I didn't have any activities per se. So I was just, you know, young and curious and just looking around and learning what I wanted to be involved in. I stopped pressing my hair. I got my natural when I was, you know, 16.
Right.
And then the guy that impregnated me at 13. Oh, here's what happened. After I went to juvenile with Connie, they locked me up for a whole year and a half for a petty theft.
My goodness. In juvie or?
No, they send you to a place called Los Gilligas.
Okay.
And Los Gilligas was a home for girls, wayward girls. They would send them to two places, either Ventura, which for the older girls, and they send me to Los Gilligas. And that's when I found out that they were just opening a school for girls and that they needed bodies to fill it. And so that's how
like
I got
a quota or something.
Yeah, that's what they do. You have to fill
sure,
it. Anytime
sure.
they build a prison or a jail, they have to fill it up. So I got caught from that petty theft with her and juvenile, and went to and they kept me out. They took a whole year and a half from my life, and my grandmother died, you know.
Yeah.
And then I remember I went to see some psychologist, and since I wasn't you know, I was used to staying by myself. She said, well, you need 6 more months so you become more sociable, you know, because she wants you to go in the day room and play I didn't play dominoes, I didn't do cards, and I didn't sit and talk about people. I would go in my room and read Nancy Drew, you know, and I'd say my rosaries because I was still the good old Catholic, you know, and she said, well, it was something, what she said, I was antisocial, you know, and then so she gave me 6 more months. Yeah, because
you're a reader.
Yeah. And I stayed, you know, I just didn't I didn't fit.
Yeah.
You know, I didn't fit in with the group that was in the day room, you know, sitting around talking about people and starting shit.
Yeah.
So, yeah, they took a whole year and a half from me.
That was Ida McCray. On the next episode of Storied San Francisco, Ida will continue sharing the story of her life. Please join us for part 2 on Thursday. Music for Storied San Francisco is by Otis McDonald. Photography is by Michelle Kilfeather. The show is hosted and produced by me. Michelle and I have produced more than 130 episodes over the last 3 years, and you can find them all at our website, storiedsf.com. We're on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook, where you can like, comment, and share the stuff we put out. Find the podcast just about everywhere you can listen, including, most recently, BFF.FM's new podcast network. Please subscribe to stay up to date on all the content we publish. We love feedback, so if you have any, our email is storiedsf@gmail.com. Thanks so much for listening. Stay strong, stay safe, and stay healthy.
This podcast is a proud member of the BFF.FM podcast network. Learn more at podcasts.bff.fm.
BFF.FM, best frequencies forever.